Ramona, did you see that Ramona, did you see you have a name tag out there now? Nope, she's not paying attention. It's okay. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Pointing at your shoulder.
All right, okay. All right, good morning, everybody. I am not Henry, who was scheduled to be the worship associate. I'm filling in for Henry, and we'll go ahead and get started. It's an exciting day. First time I've done this in 2026, so really looking forward to it. So good morning to everyone. Welcome to the Metro East Unitarian Universalist Congregation, and greetings to those watching the service remotely now or later. Hello! This is a welcoming religious community, and we're so glad you're here. I am Keith Davis. My pronouns are he, they. I'm also so glad you're here. I'm very excited today because I'm not holding Vinny at the moment. And I love him. I love him so much, and I want people to know that. But I'm so glad he's not in my arms. We're a growing congregation located in Glen Carbon, spiritually led by Eden Johnson, our ministerial fellow. And we're grateful to share this sacred space here with the Edwardsville Masonic Lodge. We're happy to have Marlene Bricker today back at our pulpit this morning talking about being human in inhuman times. Staying human in inhuman times, yes. And we welcome everyone here to this home of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope. We will begin our service with a prelude by our pianist, Joy Aft. Thank you, Joy. An important ritual in the Unitarian Universalist faith is the lighting of our chalice. Unitarian Universalists have many different interpretations of the flaming chalice, including the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. If you're watching elsewhere and have a chalice or candle, please light it now and join in saying the unison words projected on the screen. We light this chalice
in hope for the future of our church, our community, our country, and our world. May love center us always.
We're an adaptive bunch here at the Metro East Unitarian Universalist congregation. All right, so I will switch screens and go with an opening prayer this morning that I pulled from a hat. All right. Creator of all journeys, we stand at a threshold of a new year, carrying the weight of our past and promise of tomorrow. Grant us humility to honor the battles we've fought, both abroad and within, and courage to turn our wounds into sources of strength. Help us listen deeply to ourselves and to each other, so compassion becomes the compass that guides our words and actions. Bless the healing work we pursue, that each step brings us clearer insight, peace, and wholeness. May we nurture an open, respectful partnership in the world, holding space for each other and taking care of those that need embracing in the freedom they seek. Guide us to weave this year with resilience, joy, and love, rooted in justice, equity, and the dignity of every soul. With gratitude for lessons learned and hope for what lies ahead, we step forward together, trusting that the universe supports our growth. Amen. All right. I think we have the welcome moment. That is right. So please take a few moments to greet someone you don't know or haven't seen in a while. We'll continue our conversations after service during coffee hour, and then we'll sing our first hymn.
Did you lose me? For you. There's a new one out there for you. Totally.
All right, everyone. Our opening hymn today will be in the gray hymnal. It's number 113, Where is Our Holy Church? Sorry, reading a book. I do that from time to time. All right. It's tradition here at the Metro East Unitarian congregation, Unitarian Universalist congregation, that we place each service within a larger values of the Unitarian Universalists hold dear. This week, we're going to lift up the values of transformation and interdependence. Which brings us now to joys and sorrows. So as part of our weekly worship service, we take time for the expression of joys, concerns, sorrows, and milestones. If you would like to recognize a joy, sorrow, or milestone, you may come forward and take a stone or stones in the bowl and place them in the water as a symbol of what you carry in your heart. Please start from the back, down the aisle to your right, and move forward, returning to your seat that way. And if you'd like someone to place a stone or stones in the bowl for you, raise your hand, and we'll see what happens, is what I have in my notes for some reason. Let's be in the spirit of prayer and meditation. All right. I'm going to talk to Henry. Not a lot of stones left today, so a lot of joy is what that's telling me, right? Yeah. And some sorrows, I'm sure. I totally get it. All right. So if those young and young at heart would care to join me over in front of Joy's area there, I will be reading Peaceful Fights for Equal Rights by Rob Sanders, illustrated by Jared Andrew Shore. This is the second time I've read the book, so really looking forward to it.
First time was about 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, sure was.
I bought it. It only arrived last night. So.
All right. Peaceful Fights for Equal Rights. Is that on? Yeah.
No, it's dead.
Okay. Oh, I gotcha. All right. We must pursue peaceful ends through peaceful means. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. All right. Assemble, take action, create allies. Make buttons, make banners, make bumper stickers too. Boycott, boycott, boycott. Chant, cheer, call someone, campaign, camp out. Demonstrate, don't give up, don't give in. Educate, encourage, endure. Be fearless, fly a flag, file a lawsuit, have faith. Give time, give strength, give money if you can. Shake a hand, lend a hand, have hope, be hope. Inquire, inform, imagine, invite. Join others on the journey, join others in the fight. Knit a hat. Take a knee. Listen, learn, lead. Light a candle. Write a letter. Pass laws. March. Meditate. Mediate. Motivate. Never stop. Organize, organize, organize. Parade, picket, post. Persist. Persevere. Pray. Ask questions. Never quit. Quietly do what's right. Read, remember, resist. Stand up. Speak out. Sit down. Sing loud. Be silent. Strike. Turn up the volume. Unite. Vote, volunteer, keep vigil. Be nonviolent. Wear it, wave it, work for it, write about it. Explain change, exemplify change, expect change. You can only do what you can do, so do it. Be zealous. And then the back that I haven't quite finished and we'll have out there for you to take a look at if you'd like, talks about peaceful protests from the 50s and 60s and Dr. Martin Luther King and how through peaceful protest, change can happen. So that's kind of one of the takeaways from this book. And I will hand this over to you if you're going out. I appreciate it. Now we can sing our children out. I love my son. All right, please join us in singing in the Gray Hymnal, number 146, Let Freedom Span Both East and West. 148. I'm sorry about that. That is what it says. My apologies. hand it over to Marlene for the main message, and I'll just go ahead and do that now. Here you are, ma'am.
Good morning. So, I was thinking about how I was going to put this together, and we'll just kind of go with the flow. So I'm going to start with 3 quotes. The first one is by Viktor Frankl, and you all know who he was, Holocaust survivor and author. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. The second one, Elie Wiesel, another Holocaust survivor. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And then Albert Einstein. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. And I love all of these quotes because I don't know if any of you ever saw, there was an exhibit on how Hitler took over Germany. It was at the History Museum a couple of years ago. Did anybody see that? And it basically went through the whole process. And that was what they said. It wasn't because of all of the evil people. It is because of the ones who didn't do anything. So here's what I wrote about the topic. In Unitarian Universalist terms, practicing resistance is about how we live faithfully in the faces of forces that diminish life, dignity, truth, and love. Resistance is not just protest. It is a daily spiritual discipline. Excuse me. So I have been contemplating this concept. What is resistance? In Aikido, Tai Chi, Judo, and Sistema, when 2 people have their hands pushing against each other and one just takes his or her hands away, the other person suddenly overextends and falls. You can practice that with someone. It's kind of an interesting concept. Push, 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 and just step out of the way, and the one pushing loses balance. Resistance was balancing both of the people. This is the same in relationships. Sometimes resisting shows up in non-resistance. Resistance assumes separation. Yielding reveals unity. So I have been thinking about family issues, worldly issues, human relationships in general, and I have come to the conclusion that sometimes resistance is simply being quiet and staying out of the chaos, standing back and watching it play out. People who are not operating in integrity eventually betray each other. Then there are other times where we need to actively get in the fight. We need to know when to hold them, know when to throw them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. So in this little book on peace, it was mentioned about Martin Luther King and some of the non-resistant marches that took place. And of course, Gandhi did the same thing. And it worked, sort of. I mean, I would think. But if you all remember, anybody who remembers the 60s, Martin Luther King led these peaceful marches on and on and on. And guess what? Nothing happened. And then you had the Black Panthers and Stokely Carmichael and some of these other ones who really began to put up a fight. And guess what? Laws got passed. Things happened. The African American population finally got to vote, as dirty as it was. Kind of an ironic thing. I have 2 grandchildren going to Ole Miss. And, you know, James Meredith, that was the school where there was the first African American that ever went in. And now there's a statue of him right there at Ole Miss, and he was the grand marshal in the parade for Ole Miss, which I think is really quite a dichotomy from back when it was. So here's my question. And I would never tell people what to believe. It isn't my position. It isn't anyone's position. We each have to find our own place in this world, in this place where we are right here and now. So, do I quietly protest, or do I really put up a fight? Well, I guess it depends on the situation. Like, I do not believe in any war. I think war is a terrible thing. I mean, if you take the word and do it backwards, it's raw. War, raw, the R-A-W. I mean, it is a raw, awful situation. I mean, I think the Civil War, if it wasn't so awful, it would be almost funny that they got together, you know, and had a certain time, and then they all started marching towards each other and shooting each other. You know, when you watch Ken Burns or whatever, I mean, it's weird. But then I think if someone was coming into my home with a gun, I mean, I don't have a gun, so I guess I couldn't shoot them, but if I had one, would I, to protect my family and myself? I don't know. And I don't know that I would know unless I was in that situation. So I've stopped saying I would never, because I don't know what I would do until I am faced with the situation. I did march in the march right after Donald Trump was elected the first time, the big one that went on in downtown St. Louis. We did go to the No Kings. I mean, those are nice, quiet protests. But sometimes I wonder, I mean, do the nice, quiet protests work if someone is playing football? If someone is playing tackle football and I'm playing touch, I am probably going to get hurt. So I guess that's why I go back to that Kenny Rogers song. You know, you need to know when to hold them, know when to throw them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. And maybe, just maybe, we need to know when to fight. Now, what does fighting look like? I don't know. Is it writing an editorial, a very scathing editorial? Is it maybe another January 6th incident, but from the other side? I mean, let's just say, for example, with what's going on in our country right now, we all saw what happened with Venezuela over the weekend. So let's just say that this starts happening in our country. Well, it's already happening, where things are being changed. What we believed, what we used to say, this could never happen here, is happening in so many situations. Is there a time where we would need to do something against our government? I believe that was what the Second Amendment was supposed to have been, with guns, etc., was to protect themselves from the government. Now, I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer to any of this. If I knew the answer to any of it, I probably wouldn't be standing here, or somehow I'd probably be standing on a worldwide stage changing something. And I don't know that any of us know the answer, because sometimes we don't know the answer until something occurs. And then we respond accordingly, which I think is the smartest way to do anything. It's not to have a preconceived idea of what would I do if. Because I don't know what I would do if. I don't know until that thing happens. Like, for example, you've all seen stories, these amazing stories where a child is running out in front of the street, an adult runs, falls over the child, and saves the child's life at perhaps the cost of their own. Now, I say to myself, I don't know if I would have the courage to do that. But then I'm thinking probably that person didn't know either that he or she had the courage to do it until they saw what was happening right in front of them. Does that make sense? Because we can only think about it. What would I do? Sometimes I'm thinking, like right now, am I doing enough? What can I do as one person? How can I help to make sure that this country stays, well, it's really not a democracy, it's a republic, but that it stays like it was? I mean, did anybody watch the Revolutionary War, the Ken Burns documentary on Channel 9? Let's see how many hands. It was wonderful if you have not seen it. And this is an argument that I have had with my husband for years. You know, in the Constitution, where it's, or is it either the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution? I don't know. It doesn't. But where all people are created equal, you know, have certain inalienable rights, the right of liberty, happiness, whatever, pursuit of happiness. None of that was true. Because, number one, back then you could only vote if you were a white male landowner. So how is that equality? African Americans counted as 3/5 of a person. And of course they couldn't vote because they weren't even free. Women, forget that. They were at the same level as an African American. They had no power. They did something wrong, they got the A across their chest, you know? So I'm not sure that all of it was written the way that we interpret the way that it was written. Oh, also, the Senate was chosen because they felt that only rich, powerful men really had the knowledge to govern this country. So the ordinary folks got the House of Representatives, but the Senate was the higher power. George Washington, has anybody ever been to Jefferson's home or Washington's home? They had really crummy slave quarters. I mean, they were awful. And in this American Revolution story, one of the people said, they quoted a slave, and the slave said, and by no means was President Washington a gentleman. He was very cruel to his slaves. So, to me, that whole thing was a farce. You know how people keep saying they were so brilliant. Well, maybe they were. I don't know. I don't see it. There's no stopgaps. I mean, to be a president in this country, you need to be 35 years old and be born in the USA. Apparently, you can be a felon. Because we have one in the White House right now. Where are the checks and balances? We have a Supreme Court that has been picked by a bunch of fools that do not govern by law, but by party, whatever it is that they think should be. And they've gone ahead and taken away things that had been considered law. So what do we do? You know, those are the things that keep me up at night. What do I do as one person to stay human in inhuman times? I think about the people in World War II. Do you know what? I think it was Sweden was the country that there were hardly any Jews that were killed at all during the Holocaust. Do you know why? Because those people, the Swedes, the non-Jews, protected them. They hid them. They helped them get away. They participated. And there were people like that all through the Holocaust, in Germany, in Poland, that actually, there was a story where a woman would go into the camps. She was a nurse, and she would do abortions on the concentration camp, the women that were pregnant in there. Do you know why? Because they killed them. If you were pregnant, they killed you. And she would go in there and do this, and eventually she was caught and she was killed. But it was that important to her to stay human in inhuman times. For me, I believe these are inhuman times. When we have American citizens being pulled off of the streets because they're brown, and the Supreme Court said that's okay. You can racially profile. I think that's right, isn't it, Robin? I mean, the court said yes. I mean, it's perfectly okay. And when our fallen president was president his first term, he asked if it would be okay to shoot immigrants in the knees when they came over. Remember that one? And put barbed wire and glass so that if they tried to get over, it would rip them to pieces. So I would say we're living in inhuman times. And so, I mean, I don't know the answer. Maybe I don't want to know the answer. Maybe it is getting up and fighting. But what does that look like? I think one of the reasons we're in this mess right now is because not only do we have a felon as a president, we have a mafia boss president that threatens people. And so there are many of the people in the House and whatever that don't do anything because their families have been threatened if they don't vote a particular way. So I think that's something that I even heard them say a while ago, that they were going to start checking online and seeing if people speak out against this administration, they're going to start tracking them down. Have you heard that too? So what does that do to all of us? You know, it puts the fear in. And then I go back and I go to this other place. This is a bully. Bullies bully. What happens if we stand up to the bully? But how do we stand up to the bully? And it can only be done collectively, because one person can't do it. And I think this is what a lot of the organizations right now are trying to do here. But as to how to do it, I don't have a clue. I mean, there was kind of a funny little joke, if you call any of this funny, but after what happened to the Venezuelan president and his wife, someone wrote a little meme and said, perhaps someone would reciprocate and come and take. Yeah, there's the idea. Let's put it out. Maybe we should offer, hey, we will pay you, kind of like the chief of ransom of Red Chief. Remember that little story? And the parents paid the ransomer to keep the child, not to get him back. But I think this is something really important. I think we have to go into our own selves and say, what does practicing resistance mean? And we can do it here, because I will say one thing. no matter how much I dislike what this president and this administration is doing, I would never say, I hope someone comes and assassinates them. I hope this, I hope that. Because to me, that is not staying in integrity with even your first principle, that all people are worthy of dignity. And I guess our president is a people. I'm not sure, but we can kind of debate that, but it has arms and legs, and so we have to put it in that category for the moment. So I think how we can do things, at least right here and now, is when we hear people talking dirt about others, maybe we could just simply say a little quiet thing. Like I happened to walk in one day to a room at a relative's house where the mother of one of my relatives was saying something really nasty about her sister-in-law to a group of people and saying about how strange she was. And I just piped in with, oh, we all have our own quirks. You know, I wasn't going to get into it, but I thought, this isn't okay. I'm going to say a little something. Or when people make a derogatory comment about an African American or an Asian or someone from South America or someone that's brown. I mean, any immigrant here from Sweden, Norway, Switzerland, etc. is welcome. Oh, and I'm sure Russia. The Russians would be welcomed with open arms. But anybody whose skin is a little tan or a little different than ours, forget it. Those countries, no. Banned. Can't get in. So maybe that's where we can make a difference. When you hear somebody saying, oh, those Mexicans are all rapists and I don't know, whatever the heck was said, you know, something like, yeah, that's interesting. I don't like to put all people into one category. You know, we have issues in every segment of every population. But to just think how perhaps we can gently say something without starting a fight. Now, if someone doesn't agree with me, I had actually a conversation with a cousin who's a very strong Trumper. And he said he never talked about politics unless it was somebody who believed like he did. Somehow we got onto abortion and we talked about it and we ended up agreeing. And I said to him, look, we agreed on something. And the next morning we were staying at their home because I was speaking in Branson. And the next morning we got up and he said, gosh, I was thinking about that. We had a conversation and it ended up nicely. So I think sometimes maybe we can approach it gently, but if we sense that this is someone that isn't going to listen and has no interest in listening, those are not the people that we're going to change. And it isn't up to us to change them. It's maybe just up to us to change the tension and the anger and all of this stuff that is going on right here in our country. And to remember that peace begins with me. When you have your next board meeting, your opinion doesn't matter because the board of a community is supposed to work for the good of the all, for the good of the community. And if we can start showing that to the world, maybe we can make a difference. Does that make sense? And that's the thought I would like to leave you with. So I'm going to end with my poem I wrote, Staying Human in Inhuman Times. Sometimes in life it is so hard to know, what do I do? Where do I go? Should I stay in the race and continue to fight or simply drop out? Which way is right? I guess there is no answer that truly shows what I should do. No one really knows. It is based on situations. Maybe listen to my heart. See if I get a feeling of the part I should play. Should I go? Should I stay? When someone is disrespectful to others, do I stand up for my sisters and brothers? Do I treat people kindly, give them a smile, open a door, walk a mile in their shoes? Do I choose to not judge, to give everyone a chance? Do I sit on the sidelines or get into the dance? Resistance does not mean a punch in the nose. It might mean giving your enemy a rose. Sometimes resistance can be choosing to be kind. It could be the opening to a treasure we find. It seems like this topic is quite intense. There are so many options. Some make no sense. How can stepping away change a thing? What should I say? For me, I will look at each situation with care, always trying my utmost to be fair. I will trust my intuition as to what to do, trying to be just, and to myself being true. I have come to the conclusion that this is an art. I can only commit to doing my part. Thank you, and may you all be committed to doing your part.
Thank you, Maureen. Of course. So, as we have a song, it's not in my notes. Let's do number 58. Looks like a fun one. Ring Out Wild Bells. All right. Now we're where I expected to be here. All right, so as Jamie passes around the offering basket, I offer a gentle reminder that this community of faith is supported only by our giving. The light of our chalice would soon flicker and die without the oil that nourishes the flame. And just as this flame cannot burn without oil, this religious community cannot survive and thrive without the financial as well as the personal support of its members and friends. This is how the oil keeps the flame of our liberal religious faith alive and fuels the shared mission and ministry of our church. So as the offering plate is passed around, let us now give freely and generously an offering to sustain and strengthen our shared religious community, a community of memory, hope, faith, and love, almost 200 years old. For we are now the keepers of this flame that burns for justice, its dream of beloved community, its vision of a world made whole. You can also give via the P.O. Box or the Givelify app. Both are available on the meccu.org website, generally at the bottom, probably on the top. That was almost the right URL. MEUUC? Did I say it wrong? MEUUC.org. My apologies. All right. Please join me in the offering prayer. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. Thank you, Jamie. Announcements. Exciting. We get to break everything down today. Next week's speaker will be Natasha Walker from the UU Advocacy Network of Illinois. Choir rehearsal after church today from approximately 11:15 to 12:15. All voices are welcome. Eden will be in the pulpit on the 25th. The 18th, my wife will be at the pulpit talking about mental health. Nice, gentle topic for January. And then on the 25th, there will be a congressional. There'll be a congregational semi-annual member meeting. I would expect that we will also see emails about it as well. Yes, ma'am.
I don't usually do this, but because it's a new year, I just want to remind everybody, last year was the year of the snake. This year is the year of the horse. And being that that's my calling, I want to remind you that there are warrior horses and work horses and parade horses and show horses and every other kind, but it's going to be a way better year than it was during the year of the snake. And the horses are going to stomp out the snakes. So.
And what better way to start the year than at the end of January having a meeting and a potluck? And maybe I'll remember to bring something other than chips this time. I always have a plan. I have an Instant Pot. Something will happen eventually. All right. I believe we're ready now for the closing hymn. Oh, yeah, choir practice. January 8th, Anna D's Women's Alliance. Thursday, 11:30, Best Buffet Grill, Chinese and Wood River. Men's lunch, Thursday the 8th, same time. Location somewhere, probably in that general Altany area. What did you say? Best Buffet as well. Okay. All right. Please join me in. I invite you to join me in reciting the words on the screen as I extinguish the chalice. The light of truth and
meaning cannot be put out. We are keepers of this flame until we meet again.
The worst sin towards our fellow creatures is not to hate them, but to be indifferent to them. That's the essence of inhumanity. George Bernard Shaw. All right. And now we have the postlude, promenading as a prelude there. So, all right, postlude is done.